We all know what that is. It's Oklahoma. Oklahoma. There's... Hi, everybody. Hi. There's so many great songs about places, aren't there? You got Oklahoma, you got San Francisco, you got Chicago, of course, New York. How about the Bronx? Why doesn't anybody ever write a song about the Bronx? First of all, what rhymes with the Bronx? If anybody knows what can think of a word that rhymes with the Bronx. All right, let's try to write a song about the Bronx. Everything is beautiful in the Bronx. Listen to the car going by as it honks. The subway stations. What's that smell? Gee, why am I doing this? As far as I'm concerned, the Bronx can go to the top of every list of the best cities in the United States. My father was from the Bronx. He grew up in the Bronx. My grandparents lived in the Bronx. The Bronx is great. Think of it. They had the second largest Howard Johnsons in the entire country. I mean, 2 floors. A Howard Johnson's that had 2 floors and the best fried clam boat you could ever imagine. The Botanical Gardens, the Yankees. Of course, I was a Mets fan when I lived in New York. I hated the Yankees, so that was -1 for the Bronx. But anyway, that has nothing at all to do with Richard Rodgers, although I think he grew up in the Bronx. So actually, it has everything to do with him. Richard Rodgers, this is my tribute, part 2 to Richard Rodgers. Richard Rodgers wrote with Lorenz Hart, as I talked about last week. They wrote beautiful songs. Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, and I'll Take Manhattan. And then he started writing with Oscar Hammerstein II. And most of Richard Rodgers' very, very popular songs came from musicals. Rodgers was a master at writing musicals. People sometimes wonder, what is the difference between the music of Richard Rodgers with Lorenz Hart and Rodgers and Hammerstein? There is a difference. As composers, we all evolve. We do. We evolve over time. I know my style has changed so much over the years. How can I put it? Rodgers, when he collaborated with Oscar Hammerstein, let's show you here. This is what we call, for those who aren't musicians, that's a triad. That's a chord. It's a C major triad. That's the anchor, the C, called the root. We've got the third. So 1, 2, 3. That's like 3 steps. And the fifth. So a major triad. This is a minor triad. Major triad. And Rodgers and Hart wrote a lot of music with straight triads like this. Where the chords... But when Rodgers collaborated with Hammerstein, he started doing something that gave him a kind of a different, more evolved sound. He started doing a lot of what we call suspensions. What's a suspension? Here's a triad. Here's a suspension, which resolves to that. A suspension creates a little, what can I say? A little tension in the music. And this is called a ninth. And he would do a lot of and then resolve to the triad. That was Rodgers and Hammerstein. Hear that? There. A lot of that. You've got to be taught. Or so the other thing that Rodgers started doing a lot when he collaborated with Hammerstein was the addition of diminished chords all over the place. So this is a straight triad. This is a major third. We take that minor third and we go down to that. That is a diminished chord. And it adds a different form of tension, a little bit of suspense. Valley High from South Pacific. Lots of diminished chords. So I'm going to play a song now. This is a song from Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Cinderella was the only musical that Rodgers and Hammerstein ever wrote for TV. It wasn't ever written for Broadway. It was written to be a TV musical. And it was a vehicle for Julie Andrews. It was actually written for her. And it was, of course, based on the story of Cinderella with their own music. There was a Disney movie musical of Cinderella that had completely different songs in it. Here's a song from Cinderella called Do I Love You Because You're Beautiful, or Are You Beautiful Because I Love You? There was another version of Cinderella that happened on TV a few years after the first one, and the Julie Andrews role was played by Leslie Ann Warren. I believe that was her name, if I'm not mistaken. And Celeste Holm was in it. The original had Alice Ghostly and some real old timers who were very big in show business back when. Here's a song from Carousel written by Richard Rodgers. I'm not necessarily playing the songs that everybody recognizes. So here's a song by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein from Carousel called What's the Use of Wondering? What's the Use of Wondering by Rodgers and Hammerstein. Carousel was the first musical I was ever exposed to. I was so impressed by it. It had such an aura about it. The movie version with Gordon McRae, in my opinion, was just it's magical. If you've never seen it, I mean, parts of it are a little bit corny by today's standards, but it's I've seen theatrical productions of it that didn't move me as much as that movie did. I dare you not to cry at the end of that movie. It's really something. The choreography is fabulous. The scene down on the beach. I love the music. was a song from South Pacific. And this song is very special to me because it was my late father's favorite song. Some Enchanted Evening. Next week, I will be playing the music of Cole Porter. And I want to please ask any of you that like what you're hearing to subscribe to me on YouTube. This is coming across on YouTube and Facebook simultaneously. But I am trying to build that YouTube channel up. And that would be wonderful if you did that. I thank you very much in advance. So it's great to play for you as usual. And I will see you probably next Sunday at the same time. And I hope you have a wonderful week. It's going to be a very odd week. I got to say, whichever side you're on, what a week this is going to be. So let's fasten our seatbelts and hope for the best. And have a wonderful week, everybody. It was great playing for you today.